I have a special guest joining me today on Primetime Local News. Author Matt Hughes is here. Matt, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm greatly pleased to be here.
Matt, I was taking a look at the body of your work, and wow, there's just so much that you have done and that you've accomplished. How long have you been writing novels?
Novels, I had my first one out in 94, so 30 years now.
All right, and as I said, you have so much that we'll talk about here and show people where they can find more information about you. But I'd
Yep.
like to get into what is known as the Dying Earth fantasy series, and you have a book that's coming out called Margolium that's part of this. But tell me about that series itself.
Well, I have to go back about 70 years to about 1950, and a soon to be famous science fiction fantasy author in the States, Jack Vance, who was unique in his ways and style, uh, wrote a series of a series of stories that fitted together into a novel, and the publisher took his title off it and said, "No, we're going to call it The Dying Earth." And it's about our Earth, old Earth as it is, um, many eons in the future, when science has collapsed and the sun is turning red and magic has reappeared and science is not much of a competitor anymore. So it's kind of a world of wizards and walled cities. And everything has been done and redone and forgotten and reinvented and done and redone, and there is nothing new under the old sun, is what it is. And everybody is just kind of waiting for the world to end. But while they're waiting for the world to end, they're getting on with the usual thing of chiseling each other and being awful. It's a world of anti-heroes by and large. Yeah. And
And
I was
you basically took that over and you're adding to the series, or how does that work?
I'm extrapolating from what Vance did. Vance was kind of a sketcher in many ways. He didn't put a whole lot of detail behind stuff. So I'm working out how magic works and how there comes to be an underworld and an overworld, a hell and a heaven kind of thing. So I've been working with it now for several years, and there must be like 8 or 9 novels and collections of stories that make novels that I've mostly I published them in the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. But in the past 3 years, I've just been writing novels and self-publishing them because I frankly make more money and get the money sooner that way. And I'm trying to live on this. Pensions aren't that big.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the book in the series, the latest one, is called Margolium, and you have based that on somebody that you're very much a fan of. So tell me about
Oh yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. Actually, it was in a previous series of stories about a kind of private detective who dabbles in magic called Cascor. At one point, he was in trouble, and I needed someone to come in and rescue him and become part of the story. And at the time, I was had just been watching Graham Norton's English TV show, and one of the guests that he kept having on was Miriam Margolyes, whom people who know Black Adder, that series, will remember her as the ultra conservative religious aunt who came to stay and ended up drunk on the floor. Um, wonderful character actress, 80 years old now, a stubby little lesbian who's quite proud of it. She's absolutely wonderful. And so I thought, well, I'll put her in the story, and I changed the name to Margolium, and more or less had the same character, though. This wild and woolly kind of done it all, ready to do it again. She was old when I introduced her, and Margolium, because people got interested in the character, and somebody asked me to write some stuff. I went back to the beginning. So I start her off as a 12-year-old girl and work her way up into young adulthood, and she finally becomes a sorceress, and quite
Super.
an interesting one too.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's very interesting. And you also have a connection to another big name that a lot of people would recognize, and that's George R. R. Martin, known for Game of Thrones and the books, and then, of course, have been turned into the series. So tell me your connection to George.
Well, it goes back again with Jack Vance about 15 years ago. He and Gardner Dozois, who was one of the great editors of science fiction in America, they decided that they would find a bunch of well known authors and a couple like me who weren't, who were real devotees of Jack Vance, and they would have us write stories, 10,000 word novelettes, set in Jack Vance's Dying Earth setting. And the anthology was called uh, Sons of the Dying Earth. And when they asked me if I would do one for them, I said, try and stop me because it was wonderful. So I took one of Vance's seminal characters, gave him a fake name because he was hiding, and then ran a story in there. And George liked it so much that from then on, anything that he and Gardner were doing, just about, they would say, do you want to do a story? And in fact, I'm going to brag a little here. Gardner was the greatest editor of science fiction. He died a few years ago, quite suddenly.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things I'm particularly proud of is that when he was doing an anthology and somebody he'd invited failed to deliver, he would call on me and say, write me a story quick. And I did that twice. And both times he bought them, and they were a good success.
Well, that's just amazing, Matt. You have quite a history and quite a body of work. And before I let you go here, Matt, if people are looking to find a place where they can take a look at everything that you've done, what is the best place to do that?
Well, Wikipedia, actually, there's an extensive page on me that a fellow called George Bell has been running for years. He's a great fan of mine. And it has everything about me and about the work I've done. And um, that's where I would go.
All right. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.